Hey, I'd like to share my testimony with you of how I went from dressing like a man for almost 10 years to wearing dresses and skirts almost every day. When I grew up in the church, but I didn't really like wearing dresses. I was tomboyish. I liked playing ball. I liked hanging out with the guys. I was the eldest granddaughter. And when I would go to school in a dress, I would find myself in some trouble. Actually, I think there was a time when I was in gym and one of the coaches or a gym teacher wanted us to do something, and I knew that it wasn't appropriate for a girl in a dress to do that thing, and I said no, and I got some backlash for it. So I think from then on, I felt like wearing uh, a dress to school was like a cursed thing because here I am getting in trouble for no good reason. Um, and then I grew up and, I wasn't really interested in being with a girl or anything like that from a young age, but because I would hang out with the guys all the time, I would hear things, people saying things about me being gay. And I'm like, I'm not gay. And then when I got older, I would say 13, 14, I did become attracted to a female. And so I came out, and then I came to Portsmouth one time, my hometown, and I saw this girl playing ball, but she was real confident and being a stud. And I was like, man, I want that confidence. I want that. And I knew like I'm not the feminine one, so it would make sense. And so I slowly but surely started changing the way that I dress. And by the time I was the end of my junior year, I was dressing like a guy. And I cut my hair, I think, the beginning of my senior year, the end of my junior year in high school. And I dressed like that for almost 10 years. And I took pride in looking like a dude and passing as a dude sometimes. Well, when I came to the Lord, I knew in my heart that it wasn't right. The whole time that I was going in this way, I tried to convince myself that it was okay. I would say things to myself like, well, I'm not hurting anyone. You know, it's kind of different between two guys than it is between two girls. So I would, make up all the justifications that I could while I was in it. But I still knew, like, I'm still playing in God's face. You know, at the end of the day, I wouldn't have gotten married to a woman because I would have been too scared to settle in that way, knowing better. So when I did come to him, that was one of the first things I knew that had to go. I know coming to the Lord, you have to repent. You got to turn, right? And you can't be playing games with him. And you might not be clean in the moment, but you at least got to make up your mind that you want to be clean. You got to at least make up your mind that you will be done. You will stop doing those things. It's called counting the cost. Because if you don't count the cost, then you ain't gonna finish strong. And then you'll twist the word to suit yourself, right? So when I came to him, he did accept me, and I did dress like a man still. And that wasn't the first thing that he started dealing with me about. Like, he was more concerned with my drinking. He was more concerned with the fact that I was destroying myself with alcohol and drugs. So I didn't stop dressing like a guy, even though I had came to the Lord, um, chose to surrender my life to Him. It took me a while. Like, I was pregnant and dressing like a man the whole time I was pregnant. So at least 9 months after giving my life to the Lord, I still dressed like a guy. And I would go into the church and I would go into Bible studies. And during that time, the Lord had put it in the hearts of the people to receive me with loving kindness, and they weren't really addressing the way that I was dressing. Until I moved out of Stepping Stones that first 3 months of treatment. So what? Now we're at 12 months, right? So a whole year goes by. I'm still dressing like a man. And I'm learning about the Lord. I'm drawing close to Him. You know, He's teaching me how to love Him. He's teaching me how to pray. You know, He gave me the ability to speak in a tongue, right? And taught me how to draw close to Him in the Word. So I'm having intimacy with the Lord. And one day I go to this service, and there's this pastor, and around this time there was another pastor that came to a different service. Or actually, no, I think that was afterwards. Okay, so I went to this service, and there's this pastor. Actually, at the moment, he wasn't a pastor. He's a prophet. Speaks by the authority of God, and he was doing this sermon at the service, and he talked about the demoniac, this guy that had multiple devils. I think he had legion in him, and he was cutting himself and all the things. And he ran up to Jesus, and the demons were scared, and they're like, "You're gonna cast us. If you're gonna cast us out, send us into those pigs. Like, don't torment us before our time." They were scared, and the Lord cast them out. And then it says that He clothed him in his right mind. And when the pastor came to that, or the preacher came to that part of the message, you could tell that the Lord dealt with him and pushed him to say what needed to be said in that moment. And so the preacher said, and God wants to clothe you in your right mind, but He also wants to clothe you in the right clothes. Some of you need to be changing the way that you dress. God is going to change the way that you dress. And man, I knew it was for me, you know. And I knew it wasn't him and his own understanding, because it was about time, right? It was time for the Lord to deal with me in this situation. So I went home. I'm like, I didn't get mad, you know, at the one that was preaching, and I said, Lord, if you want me to change, you want me to start dressing this way. I don't have no dresses, right? So the first thing He's like, start throwing this stuff out. And I'm like, I'm still in treatment. I'm in transitional now. So I've been there for over 3 months. Everybody here has seen me dressing like a man this whole time, and you telling me that I got to go in here in a skirt. I was like, Lord, what they going to think about me? And He said, see, that's the problem. It's your pride. You're worried about what they think, And the reason why you dress that way is because of pride. It's about what you want. So that's why I want you to get it together and change, right? So I said, if you want me to change, then you're going to have to get me some dresses, because I can't afford to be out here buying dresses, right? And I thought I was like being smart and, trying to buy myself some time. um, don't play those games with God, right? So, not too long after I said that to him, people just started coming up on me and giving me dresses. People that weren't in that service, people that didn't know what that preacher had said. They didn't know my conversations with the Lord. People, there was some guy had even come from out of town to preach and gave me some of his wife's dresses, right? So the Lord provided when I finally said yes, and then gave him that stipulation. And of course, it was very humbling, going out and dressing that way around people whom I had dressed like a guy for a long time in their presence, and now all of a sudden this big shift. It wasn't gradual the same way as it was when I gradually started dressing like a guy. It was just automatic, no male clothing, put the dress on, put the skirt on. It was skirts at first because I wasn't ready for the dresses. But it wasn't a matter. It's not something that when I look at other girls and I'm like, how come they don't have to wear a dress? Well, I know why they don't have to wear one. I have to wear one. Do I keep wearing them? Do I wear them all the time every day? Not as much as what I used to, but the point has been established in the Lord. I'm changed. I'm different. I'm His. I'm set apart. It's His will. It's not mine. But the Lord did care for me all the way up until that point. And He waited until the right time to deal with me about that. But I share that, and there's a few things to take from that. When you know that the Lord is speaking to you specifically in a service, or when there might be a crowd of people, but you're the only one that fits the profile of whatever is being said, don't get offended. That's love. That's the Lord reaching you. How else is He supposed to reach you? The word says, and how else would they hear unless someone be sent, right? So the Lord sends somebody. It's not about that person and what that person wants to do. Most people don't want to, they don't want to ruffle the feathers, they don't want to make everybody uncomfortable. So if the Lord can get somebody to say something that's going to hit you, then you should be grateful for all the work that He put in just to get them to say the things that needs to be said at the right time. But also that helped me because it was good timing. It was said at the right time. I had been to multiple church services. It's been a year, right? So nobody had really confronted me about it, and until it was time. And so the Lord made sure that what was necessary, the first things that needed to be dealt with, were dealt with first, because He cares for me, right? He cares for you. He will take care of the first things first. So we serve a God that he prioritizes what's most important, right? So He dealt with me about other areas of pride. He dealt with me about complaining. He dealt with me about cussing. He dealt with me about smoking and drinking and using drugs. All those things came before the dress. And your process might look different than mine, or it will look different than mine. But still, there will be things that people will see that need to be changed, but it's not really what the Lord is working with in you right now. So I believe that the last thing to take from it is wherever the Lord is working with you, whatever He's working on in you in this moment, focus on that. We can see all of the areas where we need growth, but it just overwhelms you to be rushing around trying to fix everything at once. So focus on the one or the two things that the Lord is prioritizing today. And if He wants to focus on something else tomorrow, you go to that thing tomorrow, and you let yesterday's work be yesterday's work. You let tomorrow's work be tomorrow's work, and focus on today, right now. What is the Lord targeting in your life that He wants to change to help you to get closer to Him, to help you to be one with Him? Because that's what this is. It is a process of sanctification, of coming out of our sin and being closer and closer to Him who is light, Him who is truth, Him who is holiness, Him who is love, right? Him who is perfect. So He's calling you out of something right now, or He wants something to change right now. He's doing that to help you to get closer to Him. You might be praying, Lord, how can I get closer to you? Well, He might be saying, this is how. Right now, focus on this.